Welcome to I See You, a podcast where we know that human connection restores mental health and resilience. I'm your host, Julie De Jesus, and I see you. Let's be friends.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the ICU podcast, where we talk about mental health and resilience and how human connection restores both of those things. Today, I am excited because I spoke at a conference recently called Fortified, and it's a place for mostly women of faith. And I was able to talk about what it means to see someone rather than try to rescue and save them. Like, I believe in my faith tradition that I believe that that's what Jesus is for. And that honestly brings me a ton of relief that we don't need to feel the need to save each other. It leaves space to be able to see each other, to sit with each other and not feel the responsibility to fix things. And at that conference, I met an interesting human, who is on the podcast with me today, Heather Nielsen. Welcome to the podcast. Hey, listeners, I'm Julie De Jesus, founder of ICU Living. No matter what we do here, we are all things ICU. That's why I've rebranded my keynote speaking and consulting as ICU Leadership, a branch of ICU Living. I help leaders turn human connection into their most powerful strategy for keeping great people and bringing out their best. My secret weapon? What it's always been, being real. Remember, happiness isn't your business. Connection is. Visit iculeadership.com to find out more.
Thank you, Julie. You did an amazing job, and I loved connecting with you at Fortified in Faith. It was amazing.
Thank you. And it was so fun. The first day I spoke, the second day I emceed, and it was such a fun audience. Were you there both days?
I was. Yes.
It was such a fun audience. So interestingly enough, Heather, I brought her on today because she is running another conference coming up all about faith also. And it's really a collaborative experience of women of all faith, women entrepreneurs. And I found that really interesting and fascinating, as you are combining entrepreneurship and women and faith, all Christian faith, all into one. And so I wanted to have Heather on to talk to me and our audience about how human connection has played a role in this ability that you have to see women in that space.
I'm so excited. Yeah, this is actually my second year hosting this event, and this year's theme is Expect Miracles. So super excited. As I just was reading in the Bible, this came to me almost a year ago, so it's been in the works. And, so often we try to segment our lives into like, this is work, this is family life, this is, we have all these different compartments. And really, that's not how we are as people. We are ourselves no matter where we go, and that's what we should strive to be. That's what full being authentic is being yourself no matter where you are. And so I love that this event pulls in the faith and the business. So it really is for Christian women entrepreneurs, and really it's for all women. And this is just so, like, obviously this has been in the works for a long time, but as I've considered, like, okay, should I niche down? And I was like, no, I'm supposed to be this bridge so that we are all united as Christians. The world would have us like fight against each other and want to like segment even ourselves from each other. But when our foundation is Christ, it doesn't matter if we're Baptist or Methodist or LDS or Catholic. I mean, that is our foundation. So I'm really excited to have women of so many different Christian faiths join together. And we're going to be talking about Jesus and the Bible and quoting scripture and how all of that relates to our business and that we can show up authentically in our business as Christians.
It's fascinating. Well, and how interestingly and timely. And at the end of the show, I do want to tell people that we do have an affiliate link that Heather has generously said she'll share with us to get a discount on this conference if that's something you're interested in, which I think it sounds fascinating. Your keynote speaker is Elizabeth Smart. What a great example.
I even have a story about her, so I'm excited to share that as we get to that later.
Yeah, what a great example of resilience and overcoming hardship. And I know that faith has played a role in that. Something that's just a weird coincidence, if you call it that, is your partner, I know, that is doing this conference with you, was recently a part of something pretty horrific in the news having to do with not seeing each other in faith. Will you kind of explain that for listeners?
For sure. Yeah. As of this recording, it's just a few days ago, but I know it'll be a little bit before it goes out. But my best friend and business partner lives in Grand Blanc, Michigan, and that was actually her church that the driver drove in and started shooting, burned the church down. I am so thankful, but she was not there because she was attending a different service that day with some mutual friends, and yet she has been affected so deeply because that was her congregation, that was her church family, and those are all people that she knows and loves. And so she's continuing to navigate it. The first day was like her nerves were just fried, and then even just talking with her yesterday, she was having a hard time focusing and thinking. This week, I'm just taking over all the business stuff and letting her not
Yeah, of
even worry about it.
course.
But they already are starting. This is the thing that I love is they met as a congregation last night. They had church leaders there, both locally and then also some from Salt Lake came in. And as they talked about forgiveness and about miracles and about healing, they're already starting to heal, even while they're still navigating this so very recently. And so we do know that it's because of Christ, it's because of his atonement that they are able to have that healing, because that's not what, as humans, we would want, right? Humans want revenge and make things fair and even and retaliate, but that's not what Christ would do. So it's still super fresh. I don't have like even a lot of details to share yet. However, I'm so grateful that they're already healing from that horrific event.
Is your friend and partner, is she planning to still attend the conference and all of that?
So we have a business together and then separate. So this is my separate business, but she's one of the speakers and she was already going to be speaking virtually. And as far
Mm,
as we know, she's still planning on that. We
wow.
actually have not even talked about it. I mean, if for some reason it doesn't work out, that's
Yeah,
fine. But
right.
she's still planning on attending. I mean, this really might even change what she speaks about. I guess I'll find
Right.
out. She'll find out.
Yeah, right. I mean, even me and you, it changes the interview we're having this week a little bit. It makes it really fresh and real. I know I have a friend from high school who recently told me that there was a kid from our high school that was there with his kids, and I didn't know him. I think all of us can relate to when something feels so close to home, it just reminds you like, oh, that could happen to me, that
Right.
these kind of hard things, they do happen all over the world. This actually isn't new, but when it's your faith or when it's there's people there that you knew or it's close to your location, it feels even more real.
Yeah, it really has touched me deeply because of it having someone so close and knowing about it before it was on the news because she was texting me.
Right. Reminds me of, yeah, I had some clients in Maine when they had a shooting not too, I think it was a year or two ago. And I remember texting them during the same thing. And it's like, this isn't a news story for them. This is real life. We're just a couple weeks past a political voice, Charlie Kirk, was shot here in Utah. And I didn't know who he was before that happened, before that act of violence happened. And it was interesting to me that I saw so much vengeance in people and so much just like feelings about it, which everyone has a right to. What was interesting to me is the people that I knew that were there, because that was only, 15, 20 minutes from where I live. So I actually know people that were sitting there. The people that were sitting there, none of them were really acting like that. The people that were actually there were being kinder to each other on campus. They were actually being less loud. They were being like almost living more reverently. And I just find that so interesting that I think there's something to be learned there, that sometimes when something happens to you close enough to scare you, but you weren't there, I think it's easy to get riled up and kind of like get lost in the social media of it, which isn't always bad. It's not bad to commune with each other and to get understanding. But I do think there can be a little bit of a weird, I don't know, nuance there to kind of letting other people tell us how we feel and getting in it and not really doing much, but just feeling and thinking and chewing the fat. But then sometimes the people that were actually there and affected are, for them, it's real. It's real. Like for your friend, like she needs real time. I mean, that's horrific. She's probably not sitting online, like looking at how she should feel from other people. She's living it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about how you got on this journey to do this conference about helping women of all different Christian faiths.
Oh gosh, it's kind of a long story. I have a long series of entrepreneurial endeavors, some of them more successful than others. One was being a real estate agent for 15 years when I lived in Colorado. And it was really, that was, I would say, probably the first business that I also started really getting into more the personal development. I'd hired a coach, and I thought the coach was going to teach me like how to have more sales, how to sell more houses, how to get more buyers. I thought that was going to be it. And he certainly did teach us that. But the other part of his coaching program was really about personal development and really that theme that now I totally get it. But at the time, I thought what I wanted was like sales experience and sales tips. And really, it's like if you improve yourself, that is how everything in your life improves. So
Mm,
I've
well
done
said.
yeah, yeah. So I've done a lot of training with that. I also kind of jointly like fell into this doTERRA business as I started using oils and as I just told people about them that they wanted to know. So I no longer am a real estate agent, no longer live in Colorado, but I still have my little doTERRA team that just from my passion it grew. But that was another part of my life where as I learned more and it just all related. So really decades of experience now with personal development. And then it was actually during 2020, it was after things had shut down. So I was taking an online course. And as I was listening, I'm like, okay, I know like 99% of this. I should be teaching this. And so it was at that time that I got my mentoring certificate because somehow I thought I needed to have someone tell me that it was okay to teach people. But that's like a whole other story about asking for permission instead of just recognizing our gifts and strengths and going forth. I was in the process of that, had gotten my certification and then was trying to learn how to like get my coaching business started. And this is where it really ties in with your podcast. It was during that time that my ex-husband then ended up dying by suicide. And that was so hard. Like the word, I mean, it still can make me tear up. And it was an ex-husband, right? Like some people think, what? But really so hard because not only did it affect my kids, but it affects me as well. And it also solidified to me at that time that everyone needs to learn these tools and techniques, and you need to have ways to cope when you aren't feeling good or when you're struggling. And what I believe is that he was just feeling like the world would be better off without him. And so he disappeared and then later was found that he had passed away by suicide. And yet, if he had stayed connected, if there was someone who really saw him during
Yeah.
that time, could that have been prevented? You know, and we all have like, oh, if onlys and I shoulda or I coulda. But the reality is, people were trying to reach out to him and he was just in a really bad place. But
Yeah.
it also solidified to me that this just has to become mainstream instead of I remember when I was a kid, like the self-help department in bookstores was kind of like, what are you? Like, what's wrong with you if you think you need self-help? And I'm so grateful that that stigma has really been removed. And now we're like, no, let's all be lifelong learners. Let's have these toolkits. Like, counseling
Yeah.
is just normal. I think everyone needs counseling. So I'm grateful for that. And so it's just been this evolution though, as it first started as faith-based positivity, and then that kind of led into more success, and then from that led into business coaching, and then just, having this all kind of simmer together, the faith plus the business. And even I help women with their technology, getting their businesses running smoothly. So,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness. I hope you're
yeah,
paid $1 million an hour for that. I hate that stuff so much. And that's like my nemesis, technology and business. My assistant
yeah.
would tell you. Oh, it's a
Yeah, well,
learning
you
curve.
can hire it out or you can learn how to do it until you can afford to hire it out, right? But
Yes.
it
Yes.
all relates. And so I just love, even though I can do all these things, I have to say that my Divine Daughter event is the thing that is like nearest and dearest to my heart. It's
Yeah.
my event that like I was working at another event earlier this year and it's like, I know I have to work on that, but I really just want to get going on my Divine Daughter. So I'm
Totally.
so excited that it's now like just around the corner. I'm so excited to have everyone join together. And it is live streamed. So it's in person plus live streamed. So
Cool.
we actually just got our first Canadian registration this weekend. So it now really is international. I can legit say it's
Yay.
international.
Do you have any idea? Like, I was just wondering, could you list, like, do you know some of the faiths that are coming? I guess people probably don't need to say that on their registration, but I just would love to know how many
Yeah, that is
different
a great
faiths
question.
are going to be there.
Don't, I haven't asked people because I didn't, well, one, it's just not on a normal order form. I'd have to make a
Yeah.
special order form. But
Yeah.
I do know that we have several faiths just among the speakers. And so, we have like a non-denominational Christian. We have someone else like it. Gosh, I'm trying to think what she is. Maybe even Southern Baptist. I don't know. We have a couple speakers coming from out of state.
Hmm.
Plus, just within Utah, we have a couple different faiths within Utah that are
Cool.
being highlighted too.
I love that. Something I think that's really powerful about engaging with other faith traditions too is I remember speaking at an event where one of the speakers was a pastor of obviously a different faith than mine. And she and I got along so good. And afterwards, she and I were just talking and laughing about some stuff. And I remember I was complaining to her about some of the things that I'd seen go on in my church congregation, things that I've heard people complain about my church at large. And I remember she just looked at me and she's like, Julie, that stuff happens in my church too. And I thought it was so interesting. And it was really a good lesson for me that I come back to a lot, which is there's just human behavior stuff that's good and bad and annoying and nuanced. Like there's so much that's human behavior that sometimes we attach to a certain generality, whether it's a specific faith, religion, a specific gender, and then there's just like human behavior that sometimes when people get together, they do awesome things and sometimes they do annoying things. And anyways, it's just love. So I love stuff like this for us to just open our eyes a little bit more as Christians and come together. So great. I love what you're doing.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I fear if it's okay for me to share my experience now
Please.
about Elizabeth. So, quite a few people have asked me, like, how did you get Elizabeth? And like the short story is I actually felt inspired that she was supposed to be. And at first I was like, really? But now I'm like, well, duh, her life is a miracle. Like so many of us have prayed for her and look at what she's done with her life. But I got several like promptings to like have her be the keynote. And I think part of it was like imposter syndrome, like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth. But then also like I have no connection. So literally what I did is I ended up going to her website, reaching out to her agent. And then while I was still in the negotiating, going back and forth with her agent, but I was like, okay, it's feeling pretty solid. This was back in May. They had the Elizabeth Smart Foundation Garden Party, which was her fundraiser for her foundation. And I was like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta get a picture with her, because that way if she's our keynote, I can promote, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I was going to go with a friend. And at the last minute, she couldn't go. Like literally, I pulled up into her house to pick her up and called her. And she was like, did you get my text? I can't go. And I was like, like, like so worried. But of course, I still went. I ended up having a wonderful time, met just amazing people, really inspired me about how much good her foundation is doing. Side note, 20% of ticket sales actually go to the foundation. So I'm super excited to
Cool.
be partnering with them. But what happened the next day when I was doing some journaling and pondering, I realized the reason why I had such an amazing time is that I felt like I belonged. Like I
Hmm.
belonged in that room with Elizabeth Smart, with all these other amazing people that were there to support the foundation. And that has become like a mantra because I think all of us as just as people sometimes feel insecure. You feel like I don't belong, I'm not seen. And when I'm ready to shrink and give into that imposter syndrome, I've had to like chant to myself, like, I belong, I belong, I belong. And it can shift you so much just by going with that mindset, I belong. And it's amazing who you end up connecting with and having a great time, that we all belong. Like when we are doing that, it's never the other people that aren't accepting us, it's us that are not feeling comfortable. And so we have to have that mindset shift that I belong. And for all the listeners, you belong. You belong in the room, you belong in the space, you belong here. And as that relates to mental health, that could even be taken a different way outside of business. But it's just so important that we all feel like we belong and know that we belong, and that as this greater humanity, we need to just love, accept, and cheer each other on.
I love that. And I think, don't you think that as you feel that you belong, you will actually be more generous to others? Like, because you're not acting out of insecurity and you'll be more accepting of others because you're not acting out of defensiveness. Like, I think so often we draw these lines to not be able to see each other as humans as much because we're actually acting out of like fear and insecurity that we don't belong.
Absolutely. It was 100% like such a good lesson for me to learn. And now I feel like that was like a major thing that I feel like I need to share that. Like you belong. You do. You belong, whatever space it is. Get
Absolutely.
comfortable. Yeah.
And Brene Brown talks so much about belonging with that, right? She talks about that if you read Braving the Wilderness is one of my favorites she's done. And she talks about how you can never feel like you truly belong somewhere if you don't belong to yourself. And you'll also never be able to feel like you belong somewhere if you're not authentic to who you are, because you'll always sit around wondering, what if they really knew such and such about me? Would they still accept me? And that's why transparency is so important. It's interesting because I actually do usually ask guests, like, do you have like a mantra that helps you stay grounded and connecting? Because for me, we have these cuffs that say I see you that I wear every day and look at every day. Is you belong kind of one of yours that you say often to yourself to help you navigate your life?
That's fairly new, but yes, I've definitely used it the last few months. And I'm trying to think about any others. I mean, I'm all into like positive affirmations and
Yeah.
EFT tapping and all the things.
Yeah.
But I would have to say if I was going to just choose like one short one, I belong. I've made it obviously personalized. I belong is something that I've had to cling to at moments of feeling insecure or that imposter syndrome that can creep up. So, yeah.
Do you feel like repeating that statement helps you more effectively connect with others?
Oh, 100%. Yes. Like I was attending an event just a few weeks ago and I could feel myself shrinking, like wanting to be like, oh, who am I? Like, should I really go up and approach this person? And I had to really be like, I belong, I belong. And then it really is amazing. It's like we have these walls, and when we let those walls down, suddenly the connection is natural and easy and no problem. And so
Yeah.
I know it always goes back to me. And I love how you said, like with Brene Brown, like if you're not connected with yourself, and I've done a lot of work on that, mind you. So that might be where people need to start, even if they're like, I'm still not feeling it. It might be more like self acceptance and self love, which I also love sharing and teaching about because that really is such a basis of your self worth and loving yourself.
So cool. Well, I'm so excited for this event for you guys and just so excited for this passion project that you have to unite women of all different faiths that are trying to start and continue businesses. Where can people buy tickets? And we'll make sure to have an affiliate link as well in the show notes. But where's easy for people to go?
Yeah, if they're just listening, it's really easy. It's just divinedaughter.org. It is a .org, not a .com. It's not a nonprofit yet, but that's like now on my brain, like, oh, it's growing into something bigger than I thought. But definitely use your affiliate. And I know when they have your affiliate right nearby, there'll also be a coupon code so they can save $5 for a live
Perfect.
stream and $20 in person. So use the
Perfect.
coupon code too.
Okay, amazing. Yes, we'll put it all on our social media with the podcast and in our show notes. Thank you for being on the ICU podcast and for the work you're doing, especially amidst, like I said, recent events where there has been such an attack on just being different from each other. Like that's a problem. Thanks for the reminder that it's not.
Yeah. And it all comes back to feeling like we belong, and then you help other people feel like they belong too. So I love that.
Yeah, that human connection to yourself, and you can connect to others. And you're just a shining example of that. I mean, you haven't had an easy life. Like, talk about what happened with your ex-husband. That's horrific. And here you are. You're able, you're functioning well. I don't know about you. I don't always feel like I'm functioning well every day, but like you're resilient. You're trying to put out good into the world. You're not just surviving, but you're trying to add to it. That's in itself, I feel like, a testament to what can happen when you try to connect with yourself, connect with others, the change it can make, even through very difficult things.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here. And I love what you're doing with the ICU podcast. It's important work.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Next time we will see you on our next episode. That goes without saying. Next time we'll see you on our next episode. But please, if this is something that struck a chord with you, check out what Heather Nielsen's doing with My Divine Daughter. It's here in just a couple weeks, and save some money with that code. And we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, friends. If you haven't been to iculiving.com yet, check it out. This is our cozy corner of the internet where all things ICU live. Weekly podcast episodes, our ICU events, our newsletter sign up, our women's group, my books, the ICU cuffs, and our Shopwell Seawell affiliate store. We know human connection restores mental health and builds resilience because we've lived it. So come on over to iculiving.com. We saved you a seat.